The backpack illusion. Empathy without the weight. Backpacks are costumes for the self we think we are. If identity is a hike through time, the ego makes sure a sack of history is strapped on tight. But what if the weight is not in the bag, but in the belief in a bag? Included in full for context. The other backpacks. A powerful metaphor from a long hike. Every hiker is intimately aware of their backpack. They picked it out, choosing from dozens of options. They know which straps are loose and which are digging into their skin. They can tell you if it's lopsided and what is in each pocket. And yet, even after days on the trail, they probably couldn't tell you a thing about anyone else's backpack. Except perhaps that everyone else has one. That's the first step toward empathy. Realizing that everyone else has a backpack and that it's different from yours. Now let the metaphor turn. The body carries gear, but the mind carries meaning, and meaning is the only thing that can hurt or heal. Empathy, as commonly taught, tells a story about different hikers with different loads, and then invites joining in the weight. That joining feels kind, yet it quietly cements the very premise that produces suffering in the first place: difference. The ego's empathy studies the straps, catalogues the bruises, and then mirrors them back, saying, "I feel it with you." It learns from the past, applies concern selectively, and builds a special corridor where pain is honored as truth. That corridor is tender, but it is also a prison, because it assumes the backpack is real and must be managed forever. True empathy does not tighten the straps, it questions the need for the pack. True empathy is alignment with a higher perception that refuses to certify suffering as identity. It witnesses pain without worshipping it, and offers strength that comes from remembering what cannot be harmed. Is everyone carrying a backpack? In appearance, yes, because a shared dream seems to include bodies, histories, and gear. But at the level that heals, there is only one mind, and a single correction undoes the entire caravan of sorrow. How could anyone know another's backpack when no one has looked beyond the idea of backpacks? The moment the mind looks with light instead of fear, the whole frame changes from "what are they carrying" to "what is actually true." If difference is the altar, empathy becomes a priesthood of comparison, gently anointing separate stories. If oneness is the altar, empathy becomes the refusal to sacrifice truth to appearances. This refusal is not cold. It is the warm insistence that innocence is untouched by what the dream reports. It is the hand that holds steady while not buying the narrative that pain defines the person. It is the look that says, "I will not make your wound your name." When a friend says, "My pack is lopsided," the ego hunches under the same tilt and calls it solidarity. Healing solidarity stands upright and offers balance without inheriting the tilt as fate. When someone says, "These straps are cutting," the ego bleeds with them and counts the stitches as proof of love. Healing counts the mind's freedom as proof of love and helps remove the strap at its idea, not only at its edge. This is not denial, it is correct placement of causation. Suffering is met with presence, care, and skill, while the mind is gently reminded that meaning, not matter, makes the cut. Hands can bandage, voices can soothe, meals can be cooked, and still the deepest gift is vision that does not enthrone the wound. What happens to empathy when the backpack is seen as a prop? It becomes less about trading weights and more about trading sight, away from judgment, toward the light that ends the need to judge. What happens to guilt when oneness is remembered? It dissolves because there is no other to accuse and no self to defend. So keep the kindness, lose the certification. Keep the care, lose the worship of wounds. Keep the helpful hand, lose the story that pain is anyone's name. The lightest step on the trail is taken by the one who knows that the trail is a classroom. The backpack is a teaching aid, and the learner is not a body. And the end of the hike is not a summit in the world, but the recognition that weight was a belief, and the belief is over. Submitted for your approval, a hiker who never questioned the trail, a traveler who never checked the weight of what he carried. He thought awareness meant knowing where the straps cut, what the others bore, and how far the climb remained. What he didn't see was that the trail itself was an invention, the backpack a metaphor, and the mountain just a projection of guilt wearing altitude as disguise. Somewhere beyond empathy's echo and the chatter of shared suffering, there's a silence that doesn't compare or carry. In that silence, no one's pack is heavier, no one's story more real. For in the end, the only true traveler is the mind that lays its burden down and realizes there was never a trail at all. You have just unpacked another illusion in the Twilight Zone.